Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Okay, so in here we're creating a menu plugin. So already there's a menu here, a very basic menu going on, but we can create something a little more robust. Now it's entirely up to you how you want to add the menu. You could just leave the menu as part of the header footer plugin as it is right now, or you could create a separate menu plugin to add that there. So regardless which one you go with, usually the smaller each plugin is, the more reusable it is. So in this case, if we make a separate menu plugin, that makes it a little more reusable. However, it will always have to come with it won't always have to come with this. You can use that menu elsewhere on a different plugin as well, instead of having to carry the whole header and footer at the same time. So let's see how we can go about doing that. Now, the advantage of doing this is you can have maybe 10 different kind of menus that you create as plugins, and then you can just swap them around anytime you need to change your menu look, or you want to create a new website entirely. So you can have maybe even 10 in a list of menus to choose from. You can make one whenever you have some time. So here, since the menu system over here will need something very similar to, if I go to the admin section here, it'll be something very similar to when we're adding rows, for example. See, when we're adding rows, we add something here, or what I mean is the CRUD here, the add, edit, and delete. There's going to be very similar, even with users here, very similar situation where you have add, edit, and delete, and stuff like that. So depending on the type of menu, it will determine what kind of inputs we have. So what I'm going to do is, let's see how we will. Also, the menu items, I want the type of menu where we can just add the menu items using a UI like this. So that's why we're looking at this here, instead of having to hard code everything there. So let's look for some menus that we can put here. Now we don't have to use Bootstrap because we have Bootstrap here by default, but let me show you how we can incorporate other entities to match this. So let's go ahead and move to this awesome website here, freefrontend.com. So of course I'm not sponsored by these guys, but I use this website from time to time, once in a while, to get some HTML or CSS if I'm feeling too lazy to type some myself. So on this one I went to CSS menus. Where is that? CSS, not full screen menus here. I went to this one, CSS menu, which opens up this page, and here there's a list of menus. There's quite a number, but I liked this version here because it has, and when you hover on this thing here, it shows you a bit of an animation of what's involved. So I like it because it's got this mega menu over here, at least. So once you say demo and code, it will take you to CodePen here, where you can actually see a live view of this thing in action, right? So then they give you the HTML here and the CSS over here. Now, depending on whether there's actual CSS or some other format, you can always tell it to compile the CSS over here if it needs to. Or, for example, maybe here, instead of HTML, there's, what's the other format? I forget these other formats. You can always compile them to actual HTML and CSS in case they are not written in those languages. But this is written in HTML, so we are in luck. So let me grab the code over here. I don't know if there's a copy button here or something, but we can just do select all and then do a copy real quick over here. So I'm coming down here to this point. And before I even copied that, I should have handled my business over here. So we need to create the menu thingy here. So now, since most of this stuff is very similar to what we are doing here, where we have a list and then we have add, edit, view, delete. Even though we will not need view, we'll have edit and view. Maybe not the search either, maybe not the pagination either, because menu pages don't really go that far, but who knows. So we can just copy this particular plugin over here. So what I'm going to do is go to my plugins folder. I'm going to open that folder, and what I'll do is just get the users manager, copy that and paste so that I have another copy of this, and then we're going to rename this guy to menu. Now you could call it main menu instead, like this, main-menu. That's entirely up to you, or you can just call it menu. So let's keep it simple and call it menu. And then I will go here, plugin, and then change all references here. Okay, a way for admins to manage menu pages. But I think maybe if you have other menus, maybe it might be a good idea to call it main menu. Sorry about that. Let's just rename it to main menu. I think it gives it more room to grow. So let's do main-menu over here. All right, cool. So main menu. Okay. So this thing needs to manage stuff in the admin section. So we will have an admin route. We will need that. And the plugin route itself is going to be main-menu. And there's going to be a table called menu, or you can call that table menu pages or menu links or whatever it is. I'll just call it menu for now. We don't need any of these optional tables, so let's get rid of that. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm editing the wrong place. So it's like you've seen here, it's very easy to end up editing the wrong thing if you're not careful here, because these files are exactly the same. There's plugin.php in every plugin page, so you have to be careful. So this one is inside menu. Okay, so the reason why the folder changed, so this is why this is no longer viable. So I have to edit this one instead. Okay, so let me redo what I did here. This one goes to menu, and the plugin route is main menu, like so. Okay, great. Alrighty then, so now the tables. Okay, so we're going to be missing some tables, but for now we don't need it to check for that. So I'm going to mute this for a second. If tables do not exist, it should still continue. And then we have permissions here. We don't need the all here, I guess. We can say view menu pages. Let me copy this menu pages here, or menu page, and replace user with it. Add menu page, delete menu page. Those are the permissions we're going to need. And then same thing here, view menu pages for the permissions here. Instead of users here, this is the link in the admin section. So instead of users, it's going to be menu pages, like that. Okay, and let's keep going. Now, of course, we're going to need a different, let's see, maybe we're in luck. Maybe there's one called menu, as simple as that. But then let's come down here. We have add controller. Okay, so the rest of this, I think, will be fine. We have admin main content there. That's great. Okay, good. So what I'll do now is go to the config. and change these things. So it's version 1. Let's do main-menu. Alright, so we add main menu there, and everything else remains the same. We do want it on all pages actually, because the menu is usually on all pages, but then we want it off on certain pages. So in this case, maybe for example the login page, we don't want it on there. Maybe even the sign up page. Okay, we also don't want it on the, what other page? This could be the logout page, for example. Even this one might not be necessary. What else? Login, sign up. Okay, so you can add pages, whichever pages you think are important there. And then the dependency here shouldn't be basic auth. This way it's the header footer version 1 there. That's the dependency. Okay, cool. So let's come back here, and if I now refresh, we should have something here. So it says missing dependency header footer version 1 requested by main menu. Okay, so something is weird here because we do have header footer version 1 here already going on. So what is happening? Okay, so maybe the order of let's see, header footer, main menu, config. Okay, I think the order of we have to fix this. So what I'm going to do is just remove the dependency here for now before we fix that part of things. So I'm just gonna refresh here a little bit. So now we have menu pages here, or it's supposed to be main menu, right? Let me go back to plugin here. Yeah, no, let me just call it main menu. Oh, I can call it menu. It doesn't matter here. It's entirely up to you what you want to call it. So let me refresh, and there we go. So if I click on menu, there we go. Now I can go to Font Awesome in the meantime to see what icons are here. And let me try the menu like that. So there's bars here, depending on what you want to do. I think that will suffice. So let's use bars instead. So I'm going to put bars over here, like so. Okay, so we are back in business. Let me refresh, and we have some bars over here. Great. All right, so with this now we have to load the appropriate stuff. But before we do that, let me go back to the main website here, and here I wanted to show my main menu, my menu here. So what I will do now, this is the time to actually copy the content of that menu. So I'll come to the page here where we were doing that, and I'll do a copy, then come back here. Let's go to views here. So this stuff is for the admin area. So you can name it appropriately. You can say add or admin add or something, or you could create an admin folder inside the views folder. And that's probably a good idea. So let's create a new folder in here and call that one admin, because those will be the views that are for the admin area, because now we're going to have views for the front, which is the header footer there, and then the admin area. Okay, but if we go to the header footer, because this is where we're going to actually show the view in the header here, and this is the part where we loop to create our menu. But instead of this part, let's go down here for a second and paste this. Now keep in mind we're pasting this in the header footer plugin because that's where it is right now. That's where we display the menu from. But then I'm going to show you how to shift this to another plugin, while keeping it viewed here. So let's refresh, and this is what you get. So we get this content here from there, but let's add some CSS as well. So I'm going to grab the CSS here. So select all and hit copy, and then come back. So right here where we pasted this, we want to put some styles. So I'm just going to say style like this because that's CSS, and paste it over here like so. So let's move up like so. Now, depending on the stuff that you copy from there, you may actually need to edit some of the styles. Like for example, this one that says that does this, we don't need this. We can remove that because it's talking about every element in there, but we can leave the rest. I think they're okay. You may need to remove some body CSS because we already are handling that from a different location. So if I now refresh, this is what we get because everything is there: the CSS, the drop down, the mega menu, and everything is working. So we don't need this part over here. But what I want is for this content here to be over here. So these, like home and about, are more like the menus we have here. So let me have them listed here instead of all this. But I'm going to leave the mega menu and the drop down for further reference, but everything else I'll remove, like feedback, and just have these guys be over here. So we go down like this. Now let me grab this part where we are looping. So I'm going to copy all of that here, and let's go down here and use that. So down, 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 and this is the part here that's important, I guess. So we have the home and about. This is how links look over here. So all I have to do is loop through this part like so. So we put a loop over here like this through the links, and then the actual link looks like this. So I will replace what I have here with this. So looking at this, all I need to replace is just add a list item over here. So I'll move those list items to the end. And then we have our text is represented by variables, including our link. So that's all we needed from there, and I'm going to remove that like so. Then we don't need the home and about link anymore, and so we don't need the what was the other one, the feedback one. So let's remove that as well. Alrighty then, so let's get back to business, and now we can refresh, and there we go. So we have our home and admin. So if I click on there, it still takes me to the admin section. So that's how we do this part. So we don't need this anymore. We can remove it. We also don't need this part down here. So let's see what is creating that part. And it's right here. So this one is body text, title, and subtitle. So which means we don't need these classes anymore since we're going to remove this part anyway. So I'm going to try and select those classes first before I delete them. So I'll delete the content. So let's come down here to make sure those classes do not exist anymore. The subtitle as well, it's not there anymore. How about title? Nope, not there anymore. Okay, so now I can delete these guys. Great. And then I can go to the top here and delete the old menu, right? So grab this part here and delete. Boom. Okay, so let's come back here and refresh. And there we go. So now we have a much better menu here. It says hi without a name. So let me just log out and log in again. So log out. And now you see over here, we have this thing showing up here since there's header and footer. And this is running from header and footer and not running from where it's supposed to be, which is the plugin, the menu plugin itself. So here on this page, we may need the header and footer, but we don't need the actual menu. So let's move this whole content into our actual menu plugin, right? So how do we do that? So the way to do things is whenever you want something whenever you want other plugins to take advantage of a specific space, all you do is add a hook there. So we're going to do that by doing this. We say PHP and then we say do action. Now this one is not a filter, it's an action because we just want to display content over here. It's not like we are filtering information, we're just displaying content. So I can use the plugin ID over here like so, and then concatenate our string with an underscore and then give it a hook name here, something like main menu, something like so. Okay, that's great. So the plugin ID makes it unique. So it's as good as saying header footer underscore main menu, and that's the hook. Okay, so with that, and then we put a comma here, and now we need to give it any information that will be needed over here. So for example, in this case, the information that's needed is the links over here. Okay, so link permission, this is the only dynamic content that we're going to need. So we'll put links in there. Now, since this is an array that you're putting in here, you could put it like this. You can say, like this. You say links, and then you do that and say links. So on the other side, the array you're going to get will have a location called links in there like this. Now, you could do this, or you could just apply the links variable itself like that. That's entirely up to you. This is valid as well. The reason an array is better is because in future you could want to add extra information apart from just links. So in that situation, you find there's already an array and you add it to an array, which doesn't disturb a lot of things. So let's do it like this instead. So then I can close that like so. So we've added a hook here, which means any other plugin can actually take advantage of this space to display something. So now let's remove all of this over here because we don't want it in this page. Yeah. So I'm going to cut all of this. So now our header and footer plugin, our header view just contains this over here. So I'm going to save this here. Then I will go now to my menu page here. Inside views, I'll create another folder here, new folder, and I'll call this one front end, like that. Okay, so there's admin and there's front end. And then I'm going to create a new file and paste my content over here. And I will save this file as menu.php. Now you can put a .view.php. That's really up to you to organize things that way if you want. So menu.php, there we are. I'll select everything and tab it one more to move it a bit to the left since there's nothing really there. Okay, so that's our menu over here. Now, of course, since we've done this now, this thing will disappear over here. So the login page will look something like this instead, right? And now the advantage of also doing things this way is that you can have the sign up page also display something here. If, for example, you want a title at the top here, you can have another plugin display that specifically on the login page. So you can swap out what's there. Instead of a menu, you can show something else. So how do we make the thing display there? Well, we just have to make a use of the hook. So I'm going to go to my main menu, plugin.php file here. And the same way we are making use of these hooks over here, we can do exactly the same thing as well. So I'm just going to grab this one here. So it's a good idea to put what's this, comments here so that you know what each part is displaying. So I'm going to duplicate this, leave the original down there, and come here. So the plugin I'm targeting is the header footer. And then we have an underscore, and the hook name is actually main menu. So it looks something like this. That's the hook name. So whatever I put here will show on the main menu thing. Now we don't need to return any links over here. And also this one is an action, because that's the hook type that's there. So just like this, we can now require a file. So I'm going to use one of these require methods here. I'll copy one of those and come up here and paste it. So require, and I'm going to go inside the views path, right? And then in there we have front end, and then we have menu.php, like so. So like that. So just like that, now this thing will display where it's supposed to display. So if I now refresh, it doesn't show here because that plugin is disabled here. But let us go ahead and log in and see if there's a difference. And as you can see there, very good. We have our menu up there, but it's got errors. So attempt to read property title on array. Okay. So let's check out what's going on. So this is the problem inside the front-end menu.php page. Now remember that we're sending an array here with links as one of the menu items. So instead of having it like that, what I want to do is this. I want to extract it. So I'm going to say links is equal to, oh, wait a minute, it's called links in there as well, right? So let's undo, let's not use links here. So this is an array that just contains data. So I'm just going to call it data like that. That would be much better. And then come back to that menu page. So links is going to be an item inside data that's called links, since we sent an array over here from the other side. So it's like that. So we grab those links and then we can loop through them. So now let me refresh, and there we go. As you can see, everything is working as intended. If I go to the admin page, is it showing here as well? What is going on? Wait. Let me go back to the plugin PHP. Let me just remove this. I want to see if there's a difference. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it doesn't show there actually because we are targeting a very specific hook. Okay, so that is great actually. Because the header footer plugin doesn't show here, so that's why even the menu doesn't show, because it depends on the header footer to run that hook. Okay, so things are actually good, going in the right direction. Okay, and there is a mega menu there. Very, very nice. Why is the... Yeah, there's something weird here going on. So on this one, I think there's some bootstrap interfering with this CSS here, because it's not exactly the same. Here it's easy to jump into the drop down like this, but not so easy on here, because there's a gap, I think, right there. When I do this, something disappears. Okay. So let's make sure our CSS is unique. So let's go back to the main menu here. So there's nav links over here, right? So these these CSS classes are also found in Bootstrap. So let's change those that we think are found in Bootstrap as well. So let me select all of nav links like this, and then we're gonna say menu dash nav links like so. So that changes every instance of that. So let's refresh and see if anything changes. Not so much. Okay, so let's look for something else to change here. Maybe wait. Okay, what I'm going to do is turn off Bootstrap for a second here. I'm just going to add the wrong link to Bootstrap so that it's gone, and then see if anything changes. So yeah, things do change here once I do that. Why is there a gap here? Okay, so Bootstrap is interfering with the CSS. So let's try and, so I've undone that, and let's try and see what is being affected. So as I move that, let me inspect the element of this, because I've seen that move. It's got position relative, is it? Okay, so there's the nav, the main nav here, position fixed. Okay, we don't need position fixed unless you want it though, so that the main menu remains at the top there, but I don't really need it. But let's leave that, it's not part of the thing that's affecting stuff. So let's see. So at this point it's just a matter of turning off some CSS to see what remains, and then you can find what's affecting that and remove it. So position relative, max width, I don't think that's an issue. Height, let's see. Okay, what about there? Actually, that works. Yep, that actually works. If we remove the height limitation, it actually does wonders. Let's see line height. If we remove that as well, okay, so that has an effect. Okay. All right, so just like that, you can go ahead and check all of this to make sure that you can go in there as well and check things one by one, like this, for example, and then you can edit the right. Let's see here. Yeah, I think editing this does margin top 0. So let me move that. So if I remove that margin top here and then go to the nav, the wrapper here, and remove, let me remove that height constraint. Okay, that doesn't help at all. So back here, the U, what is that, UL? Margin top. Okay, that makes things worse. So margin top 0. What did I change here? I've changed a few things now. I don't know what's what. It's line height, I think. Okay, so line height. Okay, let me keep that line height. Let's keep the 70 height. Line height. Okay, I think we'll keep those. Then menu here, we remove the, okay, looks like it's working fine. Let me refresh. I got confused here. What's happening? If I refresh it again, okay, so that's happening again. Okay, So how do I fix margin top 0? I remove that. Okay, so that works. Good, that helps a lot. So this margin top 0 should be removed. So let's see if it's in here. Say margin top. That's the wrong spelling. Margin top. Let me just search for margin. So there's auto, left, margin here. Okay, so there's margin 0 here on list item. Maybe, no, actually that's not the problem here. So this one is on the menu nav links. No, it's on DL or L. So this is from reboot. Where is this from? Plugin. It's not inline. Okay. Margin bottom 1 rem. I'm just trying to find where that CSS style is. So we don't have any of this here. Okay, so in case you can't find it, you can simply add it there or add a different value there. So it's on this one. Let me edit the nav links class here to make sure it's not the one responsible for it. And this nav wrapper, then UL. So it's still there. So it's not from that class. Okay, so in any case, the UL is the one that needs a margin. So right now, if I let me see what the calculated margin is. Okay, we can just do some tests here. So what I would do is I'll just put a style here and say margin top, and then add some number here. So let me go back. Let's refresh. Okay, so there's still a 0 there, I presume. Inspect. So yeah, there's margin top 0, but instead of 0, let's add 1 rem, because that's the one that's on the bottom version. So let's see what that will do. Okay, so now this one is cancelled, as you can see here. Instead, this one is working. So that's how you cancel these from Bootstrap. So you just put an opposing value directly in line there, and that sorts the problem. So at least now the menu is not hard to maintain. There it was hard to keep. If it drops down like this, it doesn't hold very well. It could just disappear. Okay, great. So far so good. And also this this menu is fixed. I didn't know that in the beginning, because if you scroll like this, you see it remains at the top there. So that's up to you if you want to keep it that way. But if I remove that position fixed, this is what happens. So there's something missing there. As you can see, welcome to thunderPHP was under that thing. So if you put something as fixed, you might want to add a margin bottom of the exact size of this thing so that it pushes things down. Like this, for example. Let me show you what I mean. So there's this nav here. I can add a style here and say margin bottom, like this, margin bottom, and then, oops. And look at the height here. Maybe it's 100 pixels or something. That will ensure that whatever is underneath or under it, let's see, margin bottom. Okay, so that doesn't 100 pixels. That doesn't seem to work. So I guess the fixed, but I remember having this work. Anyway, one other way you can do this is you can cut this. Let's go down to the bottom of the nav itself and just add a div down here, and that's where we can put the style itself, like that. So let me refresh. But why is this margin bottom? How about margin top? Let's see what happens. Doesn't change anything. Wow, so that's a nightmare over here. Okay, so the last resort to doing this would be whatever item is next in line here could have the margin top with 100 pixels. But for me here, I don't want this position fixed at all, so I'm just going to remove it there to keep things simple. So of course you can use your CSS tricks, whatever tricks you know in CSS, to get whatever you want. I'm by no means no expert in CSS at all, so bear with me here. But we have a menu at least here that actually works. If I click log out, it actually works. We can go to sign up, log in, and then we can log in here. Alrighty then, so let's make it more robust here. Let's add some more content here and then make it so that we can actually add new menu items over here. Oh, one more thing before we go. There's a bug here, so when you click to select these, they are not selectable. But when you click here, for example, the selection happens over here instead. So the reason this is like this is because there's in the CSS here, or the HTML, there's labels here that determine what is for what. So let's just go real quick and fix that in the user's row, user rows plugin. So there we go, user rows plugin, and let's go to the view, and we're going to the list view here. So where we are listing permissions here is the thing. So this is the part right here. So there's a label here, and this label is written for, and it has to match, this part here has to match the ID of this label. So let's look at the ID of this, label, yes, this input, I mean. So let's look at the ID of the input, and it says check and num here, which is actually correct because even here we have that. But the difference is that this number, wait a minute, this number repeats because there are two arrays here. There are two loops. There's this for each here and another for each here. So at some point those numbers, because here it's reset to 0 every time through this loop, so you find that the same number here is on the top set. So what we need to do is get the name in here. So I'm going to grab this name here because these names are unique across all rows. So let's use that instead. So here on the ID, we're just going to use the very name because it's got two numbers. That makes it more unique. And let me paste that here as well. That should solve that problem here. So if I now refresh, this should be as it should, like that. So clicking on this, we just click on that and so on. Okay, so normal, wait, what's happening here? Okay, so that sorts that problem, guys. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.